Don't pay the pajamas no attention, about to go to bed. But okay, since we're clear that you did not put your application in for borrower's defense until 2023, that means you're not a part of a settlement, okay? What that does mean is that now we have to know when your loans were dispersed or when the loan was consolidated for the school that you put in the application for, because that determines how your application is going to be evaluated, under which rule, under which regulation, basically. The reason behind this is because a provision in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act that basically stated that, well, first and foremost, before the Biden administration left office, they had introduced the 2022 rule. And there was a court. There was some proceedings in court because there were some for-profit colleges that were not happy with this new rule because it made it a little bit easier for borrowers to get their loans discharged under borrower's defense. So they challenged it. And because that court case wasn't settled, and of course the Biden administration is gone, what that allowed was for the Trump administration to come in with their own set of regulations. And basically what they did was, there's a provision in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act that basically states that when it comes to that 2022 rule, that there cannot be any borrower's defense claims applied to that rule until after 2035. So what that means, like I said, knowing when your loans were dispersed or when that consolidation loan was dispersed, so you'll know which rule under borrower's defense that your application is going to be evaluated. And unfortunately, it can be evaluated under multiple rules. That could be unfortunate or fortunate, but regardless of what rule it is evaluated under, there is no timeline under these regulations, under these rules, that says that the Department of Education has to make a decision on your application. Is different than what the members in the Sweet vs. Cardona or Sweet vs. McMahon settlement, where they had a timeline for these applications. Now, after that, there's no timeline on a decision making. But let me show you. So this is the new application for borrower's defense. But when you go into the instruction, this is just on the Student Aid website. When you go into the instruction, this is where it will give you the information on how the applications are being evaluated. And they tell you here, where in the instructions, please note, if you consolidate your loans, we evaluate your application based upon when your loans were consolidated. And also it goes into more about when they were dispersed. But what it does is it gives you the regulation that's connected to how they are going to evaluate the application. So once you know when your loans were either dispersed or consolidated, you want to go to that section of the borrower's defense regulations. Just by highlighting it here, you can just highlight it, put it in Google, and it will take you directly to the regulation, okay? So you'll go to 34 CFR 685.206. This is where you get to your borrower responsibilities and defenses. And this is where it'll tell you, it gives you all the information about when your loans were taken out, how it's going to be evaluated, okay? And what your claim needs to look like. But what I will say is, during this time frame, although you've already submitted your application, what that means for you is you just double down on the information about the school, so that way you're prepared for whatever the Department of Education comes back with. Means you utilize that Freedom of Information Act to request more